Welcome to the Monday kickoff. Hope you guys are having an amazing start of the week. Guys, we have some crazy champions on the events tomorrow and Wednesday, together with everyone's favorite game mode, which is clan versus clan. Now, this CVC is not featuring personal rewards, so everybody can actually take it easy. In this video, we're going to have a full breakdown of all of the events coming to Raid Shadow Legends this week. As usual, guys, as we're doing it every single Monday on the channel. If you enjoy the content, do me a favor, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And let's dive straight into it. Today, we had an update. We had a new patch that introduced changes to the tavern. We got a new brew QOL feature. We've got some changes at the Altar of Souls, where you can select all souls. Lots of bug fixes and stuff like that. And we've got changes to the Platinum Arena reset, okay? Moving onwards from here, the reset will occur every Sunday at 9 p.m. UTC. After that, you won't be able to earn any points or swap tiers or anything like that. But you will still be able to do fights. This is actually a pretty damn good change because more players can actually play Platinum Arena now, do the reset, right? Which is kind of like the interesting part. Before we get into talking about events and different things, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up. If you haven't completed your clan quests just yet, make sure you guys go and do it. If you got to purchase anything from the clan shop that might be worth your while, make sure you guys do it as well before the reset happens in 19 hours. Same goes for the bazaar as well. This is different for every single person, right? But your reset might be around the corner. Do not forget to pick the Void Shard, Sacred Shard, or whatever other goodies you might be picking from here. Leaving all that on the side, we do have a Sand Devils turn attack tournament, which started yesterday. It will end in around 1 day and 20 hours. We do have the Tag Arena tournament coming to an end, and we have the Fire Knight turn attack tournament that started for the Titan event, which will give you 40 pizza points. Then, talking about actual events, we have a new Dungeon Diver, the Gear Hunters event, and we have a Gear Enhancement event starting tomorrow. So make sure you guys are not leveling up gear today. You can do that tomorrow during CVC and stuff like that. The Titan event really doesn't look that great. The rewards are a bit underwhelming. April is really not a crazy champion worth it unless you are going for other events that will just give you these Titan points, okay? So if you're going for the Leonardo Path, if that's going to be the one starting next Friday, decent. If not, I wouldn't break the bank to get a champion. She is not working versus bosses as intended. I've already made a different video talking about that topic, but I will repeat it again, just in case if you haven't watched that video. Plarium confirmed that Nullify does not work as intended on bosses, and it will be added to the list of debuffs that the bosses will be immune to. So she's going to be completely irrelevant, okay? Leaving all that on the side, let's quickly talk about summoning events, because I know all of you guys have been waiting for that. We do have some crazy good champions, faction unity champions. This Tuesday, October 7th, they are planning to launch a progressive chance event, giving you at least a 15x chance to summon the champions of your dreams from Ancient, Primal, Void, and Sacred Shards. Let's be honest, 15x events just suck. They are awful. They really do not give you a chance at getting the champion that you want. It's just an illusion that you might be getting that champion, okay? That is really nothing great about them. They're bad, okay? Starting with the very first champion that we have on the list, going all the way to the Night Revenant faction, we have Kaylat, Losan Kaylat, which is the faction unity champion, a defense-based character. Extremely annoying when you fight this champion in Faction Wars hard mode. Other than that, he's really not one of the most powerful ones. He's actually one of the weakest faction unity champions from all of them, if you're thinking about it, because he's just really not bringing that much to the table. He equalizes this, which is nice. This is a very good thing. I like that he drops the HP too to the level of the lowest HP on the enemy team and their turn meter. I think is a pretty cool thing, but it's pretty hard to kind of like use him in a lot of content, right? Yes, for the siege mode, he can be amazing. But leaving that on the side, he's just not really bringing that much utility to the table, okay? But other than that, he's an okay champion. I do not have him. Probably I would not bother to summon on a 15x for this champion in particular, okay? I think it's just not going to change much on my account, and probably he won't change much on most of the accounts out there. Then, we're going to have actually a lot of champions from this faction. I think they're all from this faction, in fact. Kelvalex. Now, this is a champion that I would love to get, just to have a bit of fun. Not crazy good as an enemy max HP, even though he has this skill. I wouldn't really put him in the enemy max HP group with the proper damage dealers, because he's just not cutting it. But he has a very unique passive, which puts poisons on everybody at the beginning of the fight. This can be very, very good for speedruns if you're building him on a feral set. Very good for PvP if you are building him right with the Anarchite Relic, which is going to boost the damage by quite a bit. And I would like to get him. This is the only and the very first champion that was designed by a community member, and Plarium actually put it in the game. And the character looks really, really badass. Then we have the Mad Hatter. Pretty good champion for the Hydra. I think overall he's a nice champion. I am using him on one of my Hydra teams, even though I have a lot of crazy champions available. I think I'm running him on the Titus team, yeah. So you have the increased duration of buffs, decrease the duration of debuffs, turn meter, the hacks, the weaken, the joint attack, which is making him a Theox 2.0. When I've called him that, when they announced the fusion, everybody called me crazy, saying, no, he's a trash one, he's not great. He's part of world record teams, guys. Yes, he is, because he's that good. Would I summon on a 15x for these champions? Probably not. And mainly because I wouldn't really summon on any 15x events unless he's really the almighty Fina, okay? Or something like that. You have the debuff spread, very good passive as well. I think the Mad Hatter is great. You either build him on a Reflex, Impulse, Relentless. You have tons of different options on the table. Then we have Queen Ancora. Truth be told, they did drop quite a bit out of the meta, Ancora and Narcissus. I still find myself using them very, very often in live arena. I'm not really using them much in classic arena, but they're very, very powerful. Even though they dropped out of the super high-end meta where it's full of mythical champions. She's good without Narcissus as well as a support. She has a crazy passive that basically transfers the crowd control debuffs to herself, and it can be very, very annoying. If Narcissus is on the same team as well and she revives, drops your turn meter, bang, Narcissus wipes you, probably, you know. So I think she's a nice champion. She was a fusion. A lot of people skipped her. The only complaint I have about her is the fact that she's not really providing healing. But other than that, she's a nice one. Then we have Giat, the Truth Shield. Really not a fan of this champion. She should be doing a lot of damage because of this skill. Some of you guys will wake up and say, like you always do, probably the same people, this champion is not meant to be a damage dealer. She's meant to be a support. Well, why the heck she has damage skills then if she's not meant to be a damage dealer? So before you put that into the comments, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay? Before attacking, increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, and the damage inflicted by the skill increases by 5 for each buff that had its duration increased. The damage is really underwhelming. At least she does bring you some support with this skill. One of the other things is when you're designing, rather than us building it, when Plarium is designing a champion, a lot of you guys might not be aware. A lot of you guys are probably newish players. You haven't started playing since the very beginning when we discovered a lot of things in the game, mechanics. But you do not want to build champions that provide ally protection as a buff with high crit damage. The way the damage calculation actually works is not based on the enemy's crit damage or anything like that. The damage dealt to the enemies and herself is based on what crit damage she has. So it's kind of like counterproductive to build this champion for damage and then try to rely on her third skill for the ally protection. No, you're not going to see this in game. And no, Plarium is not going to tell you this. This was done by big brains that are really good at math and figured out a lot of things 4 or 5 years ago in Raid Shadow Legends, okay? And this is still working like that. As I was saying, not really a big fan of the champion, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you are using her, how are you using her? Where are you using her? And how effective she is in the endgame. Then, moving on to Void Legendaries, we have, of course, the King. King Narcissus is on the menu as well, together with Ancora. He was guaranteed. I got very, very lucky with that because I never pulled him from Void Shards. And he was so freaking important when they released him because they were the main counter to Marichka and Taras. And they really, really stepped up their game, to say like that. And very, very effective. Versus Strengthen, versus Shield, he's going to absolutely obliterate those enemies, okay? And he deals decent damage with the A3 and the A1. The A2 is nice because of the double hit. He doesn't have the craziest multipliers, but he does a good job because he ignores Shield and Strengthen, which are really reducing his damage. Plus the ability to block Revive, extra turn. Really, really nice. Then we have Georgit, the Breaker. Nowadays, more of a PvE monster rather than a PvP nuker. I am not using him in PvP. I actually haven't used him in PvP in a very, very long time. And that's mainly because I have a lot of mythical champions available. I'm not saying you cannot use him because he sucks in there. He's just not material for the high-end arena meta, okay? But for PvE, talking about one-shotting bosses and doing crazy, crazy damage, he's your man, okay? Like, the A1 is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy. The passive is a lot of RNG, but can be crazy too. Either you build him on Merciless, Savage, Lethal. For PvP, he's very, very squishy. So you need somebody to keep him alive pretty well. And then we have Hegemon, who used to be my nemesis a long, long time ago. Good for the PvP meta. You're going to encounter him in a lot of high-end arena fights, especially in live arena, siege modes. And that's mainly because a lot of people are not only building characters on Stone Skin. A lot of people move to Pinpoint, to different things. Truth be told, he kind of like declined a little bit once again in the meta because Polymorph is not as dominant as it used to be. And people kind of like move back to some Stone Skin. You have the Wand relics. You have a lot of different things that are helping with the crowd control debuffs. And he's still worth picking as a champion because he is one of a kind, right? The only champion in the game that can do what he does. Then, on Wednesday, the same story, guys. A 15x chance, giving you a chance to summon the champions of your dreams. But in fact, they're not really giving you a chance. Starting with the most powerful champion that we have on the list for both of these days, Vulcanos. Yes, this is probably one of the champions that I would try to summon on a 15x. In fact, I did summon for him on a 15x and I got him. But it's crazy, crazy luck, okay? Very, very good for PvP. I'm not his biggest fan in PvE. I feel like he needs a lot of things to kind of like set up. The enemies need to buff a lot. And I'm not going in a PvE match to stay there for 20 hours to max everything on his skills, passive, etc. So that's why I'm not a big fan of him for PvE. But for PvP, he's actually really, really goated. The HP burn, just absolutely melting enemies, guys. Being able to block the revive on them, no matter who kills them, really, really powerful. And talking about builds, it really depends versus what teams you're going. If they have a lot of polymorph, then a pinpoint set would be nice. A Savage can be nice, even though he will start ignoring defense. Which one is it? Is it the passive? Yeah. Each time an HP burn debuff activates on an enemy, the champion gains 5% ignore defense, stacking up to 100%. But you need 2 faction allies. Overall, I think he's one of my most favorite faction unity champions in the game. Definitely my top 5 in terms of like utility all around. Probably top 3, to be honest with you guys. Moving on to the next one, we have the Cheshire Cat. Really, really powerful champion. A massive fan of the cat. Crazy good damage in PvE. Good for PvP, for siege modes, the self buffs, the veil, the mechanic to keep the champion alive, multipliers based on speed and attack, insane damage in the Hydra. Yeah, I think this champion on a 15x as well, if I remember it correctly. A very good champion, okay? Definitely a very, very good champion. You build the champion on Merciless, on Savage. If you're using it for PvP, you definitely want to have that stone skin on to try and prolong it, to avoid some of the debuffs, keep the champion alive longer, and it will really, really surprise you. The damage is top-notch. Then we have Gracchus turn Drake. A disappointment, to be honest with you guys. Block buffs, defense down, block damage for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown. Very hard to tune into a clan boss team on his own. You need another block damage champion, which kind of like makes it a bit irrelevant. But he can boost some of the damage with the passive. And I'm not necessarily sold on the champion. I wouldn't summon for him. I think we had him as a guaranteed. I skipped it, right? I think he was guaranteed, but I skipped it. He looks badass, like design-wise, absolutely amazing. It's a shame that he's wet noodle, literally. Like most of the HP-based damage dealers. Very few of them are actually good. Then we have Praeva the Slitterer. Actually, a nice support champion, a very, very good one. I still wish the revive would have been on a 3-turn cooldown because it's a single target revive. But you're going to get full HP, 50% thermital, fully resets the cooldown of all of their skills, which is pretty damn good. You have the support. I think she can be pretty nice, but at the same time, I find it hard to fit her in a team for the Chimera, for example, or other areas like that. But she's definitely not a bad champion. I would like to get her, but probably I wouldn't chase her. Talking about the next one, we have Duchess Lily too. We do have some crazy good champions. You know for a fact that something big is coming because they are baiting you. Not just that, but you have no events for the Titan event. So nothing gives you points if you're summoning tomorrow or Wednesday. And I know some of you guys will do it. But if you have better self-control, it's really not worth gambling. Duchess is still one of the top supports in the game. I'm using mine in Hydra. You can run her in the Chimera. Not necessarily the best, but you can. Still good for PvP. Pretty much everywhere, right? She's definitely pretty goated. 9-piece protection will get the job done. Then we have Chalco the Blind. Another champion that's really, really, really good. I love the passive. I love the fact that he can just go in with a second skill, the block passive skills, the defense down, the debuff spread on all enemies, all the debuffs, not just 2 random debuffs, the extra turn if you kill somebody. Very good damage from the champion as well. Good for Hydra, good for PvP, especially versus champions like Taras. So yeah, I would like to get a Chalco, 100%. Then we have Initwi, a Blood Twin. You know what? I haven't used him in a long time. Not in Faction Wars, not in PvP, pretty much nowhere. Maybe in the Curse City versus some stages that I do not recall because they're probably not some of the hardest ones. He doesn't have very good multipliers. But the passive is pretty nasty. If you kill somebody, you block the revive. So you really want to give him the craziest Merciless gear, preferably a Zeal or a Cruel next to that Merciless to make him do as much damage as possible if you are using him. He can be a massive threat for PvP, especially if you're underestimating the champion and you're not prepared to deal with him. Then we have the final one, guys, which is Krutraxa. I am running my Krutraxa in the Fire Knight. Even though she is not the best Void Legendary damage dealer in the game, at least she has some very, very good areas of expertise, to say like this. Fire Knight, Curse City, good in the Faction Wars as well. You have 4 hits on the A1 that ignores defense, the Weaken, the extra turn, nice passive too. Good damage. Not the craziest damage, but good damage. She's not a champion for clan boss and these areas, unfortunately. I'm not saying she should not be getting buffed at some point, but I think we have other priorities in terms of buffing champions. Either way, that's pretty much it for this weekly kickoff, guys. The fusion is in the second week, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, it is coming to an end in 2 days and 10 hours. I completely skipped it. I've skipped the epic as well, even though I said I'm going to try and get one. I was like, you know what? I'm going to relax. I'm going to take a break from fusions and all that stuff. But most likely, they will announce the next fusion next week. So stay prepared for that as well. As usual, much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.